many people want to start poultry farming, but the biggest problem is money. But they think they need a lot of capital. But the truth is, you can start poultry farming with small capital and still make profit. You don't need. First, you start with right type of poultry. The first step that you do before you start your poultry farming is start with the right type of poultry. The first mistake beginner make is starting with wrong type of bed. If you have small capital, I strongly advise you to start with broilers, not layers. Here is why. Broiler grow fast. You recover your money quickly. You don't need to spend money for many months. Lower risks for beginners. What do I mean by here? What I'm telling you here is, if you are a beginner for poultry farming, I strongly advise you to start with what? Broilers, not layers. The reason is because broilers always grow fast. Broilers grow fast and you make your profit quickly. That means for small capital. I will tell you how you will do for small capital. You recover your money quickly if you start with broilers, and lower risks for beginners. Here is why. For small, the reason why I said that, because if you start with broilers, you gain experience, and when you get the experience, later you can go back to what? To layers. So the next step is what? Start small. Do not overdo it. That is a very good advice. If you want to start your poultry farm, you start small. You don't have to start with large number of beds. You start with 50 or 100 beds. Why? Because they are easy to manage. If you start small, as you can see here, you can all see in this you can see there are because we are not beginners, we start with large number of beds. Here there are about 2,000 beds. So if you start with 50 beds or 100 beds, it's okay for you as a beginner. Reason because if you start small in your poultry farm, there is lower risks of disease outbreak and stress. But when you are a beginner, I don't advise you to start large. You start small. They are easy to manage, easy to control, and lower loss and perfect for learning. If you start small, then you will be perfect for learning. Then step 3 is low cost poultry housing. You don't need an expensive poultry house. All you need is just a small medium poultry house for you to start small. Reason because with small capital you can use a spare room. You can use a spare room in your house, a simple wooden structure, a local material shed that will help you. That will help you in your poultry farming. What matters most is not beauty. Don't think that you must build a very large poultry farm before you start. Because you are having small capital, you want to make gain. It will be when you start large. That is when you start building an expensive house. What I mean here is that with small capital, you can use I have tell you a spare room or other thing. What matters most is not beauty, but good ventilation, dry floor. Do good ventilation. What do I mean by good ventilation? You can see our thing is ventilated over here. Everything there is ventilation, just because of the way that we use this trampoline to cover it. But if you start small, there will be very good ventilation. The ventilation will be okay for you to do it. And even the dry floor, like you can see, the floor here is dry. Our floor is dry. So the dry floor will help you, and protection from rain and cold. You see there is protection from what? Rain and cold. The rain should not be splashing on top of your bed or something like that. And even the floor should be dry. Like you can see, the floor here is dry. It's not wet. When the floor is wet, you will not. There will be high risk of disease failure or moisture. You don't have to make the place be moist always. You have to have a dry floor and enough space too. There should be enough spacing. This ones too, there will be space, because the space, I will tell you later in my video, I will tell you the space requirement for all poultry farming. So you can see there is high risk. Okay, so the next step that will guide you in setting up your poultry farm or poultry house, the next step is buy healthy day-old chicks. What do I mean by buying healthy day-old chicks? There are many hatcheries in Nigeria, so you have to get a hatchery that is recognizable and their chicks are very good. You don't have to buy your day-old chicks from all these market sellers, people who don't know about it. You have to buy chicks from a trusted hatchery. What do I mean by a trusted hatchery? A trusted hatchery in the sense that they are well known. They are well known for their chicks, and do not buy cheap chicks from unknown sources. Maybe you don't. If you do that, you will enter your bet. It will be at risk. So anytime you are doing it, you just have to buy it from a reputable hatchery. You buy it from a reputable hatchery. You don't like this. You see, like this bird are very good and healthy. The bird are very good and healthy. So you need to buy the bird from a reputable hatchery. You don't need to buy the bird from all these market sellers that are saying. When buying chicks, let me tell you what you should do when buying chicks. They should be active. If you are going to buy chicks, you should always make sure that the chicks are active. Don't go and buy chicks that are not active, that are very sluggish outside. They should have what? Bright eyes. The chicks should have what? Bright eyes. Don't go and buy chicks that are showing any disease condition. So you have to, the chicks should be active. They should have bright eyes, and what? They should have clean vents. What do I mean by clean vent? And no weakness. There should be no weak. You see this bird, anything you touch them, you see how they are active. They are very active. So starting with weak chicks means starting with loss. If you start with weak chicks, with weak chicks, that means you have started with loss, and you are not going to get anything. But if you start with very good and healthy chicks like these ones, if you start with very good and healthy chicks, that means you are at the correct portion, and you will not lose too much money. So good chicks, good foundation. That is the law here. Good chicks, good foundation. So good chicks, good foundation. So the next step is what? Feeding on small budget. Very important. What do I mean by feeding on small budget? You don't have to waste your feed. You have to, because the number is not quite much. So you have to what? You have to start feeding on a small budget. Very important, because feed takes 60 to 70% of your total cost. Like the feed, like most especially people formulate feed, some buy it from others. So feeding on a small budget is very important. To save money, buy feed from trusted suppliers. What do I mean by buy feed from? So I will not be wasting feed. So I will not be wasting the feed. So you don't need too much feed. If you buy feed from trusted suppliers who know how to formulate very food, more especially for most especially starter feed. For these young chicks, we are still feeding them on starter. So the next thing that you should do to save money on this your feed is do not underfeed. What do I mean by do not underfeed? I will tell you that the time, or how many times do you feed your day old chicks from day old to market weight. I will tell you how to feed them, and do not waste feed. Do not waste feed. What do I mean by not wasting feed? Like you can see, the feed here is being managed. The feed is not wasted in this our poultry house. The feed is not wasted. Like these ones, you see, they don't have to waste the feed. You see, they don't have to waste this feed. They just have to make it very good, so that the thing will be what the chicks will not waste the feed. Because if you waste feed, they will not consume the feed. They will be wasting the feed. So you have to learn or find a very good way of managing this your feed. Feed is very important, because it takes 60 to 70% of your total income. Because with feed, feed take so many percent. So you don't have to overfeed them. You just have to do the feed in such a way that they will not be underfeed. And so I will now tell you the feed stages. Starter feed 0 to 2 weeks. That's how we do it. We should be able to give a starter. Then grower feed 3 to 4 weeks for broilers. Then finisher feed 5 to 6 weeks. Then I always advise you to give them clean water. Clean water, feed on time, and no dirty feeders. As you can see, all the feeders here are clean, and even the drinkers are very clean here. Like the feeders that we used to feed them is very clean, and even the drinkers too is very clean. So you don't have to be wasting your time on so many of that. So you just feed them on a low scale. Don't feed them on a low scale, and clean the feeder and even their drinkers. Wash them regularly, so that to prevent disease disease spray of disease. So top feeding, slow growth, loss. Because I've already told you that one, you don't have to, you just have to make sure you feed them very well. Then the next step is what? Basic health and hygiene prevention. What do you mean by basic health and hygiene prevention? Beginners lose weight because they ignore hygiene. What is hygiene? Hygiene is all this. I have talked about: the clean water, remove wet litter, limit visitors, wash feeders and drinkers. Like you can see in this our farm, we don't allow visitors to enter because visitors can carry such lot of disease and others. So we always try to remove wet litter. We limit visitors from visiting. Then we wash feeders and drinkers. I'll talk about washing feeders and drinkers. We wash feeders and drinkers regularly. So vaccination is cheaper than treatment. Prevention saves money. We always vaccine them. In between some weeks now, we always vaccine our birds. So the next step was simple record keeping. Simple record keeping. Simple record keeping. What do you mean by simple record keeping? Even with small capital, record keeping is very important. Write down the number of chicks, feed broth, dead expenses, sales. Okay, let me show you. Let me show you our record site. You can see the beds here we have so many large beds here. So the bed, this is the material. This is thermometer that we use to measure the temperature. We use this thermometer to measure the temperature every day, so that we will know. So that we will know and we will know the exact numbers. So you can see, what do you mean by simple record keeping? A record keeping is the process of what? Keeping or knowing the number of beds you have. Is the process of keeping or knowing the number of beds you have per day. Simple record keeping helps us in so many ways. I will tell you the advantage and disadvantage of doing record keeping, because I have been into this system for so many years, and record keeping have helped a lot. Record keeping help you to know whether you are making profit or loss. Like the record keeping, you record mortality. During record keeping, you record the mortality. You know the total number of beds. Like, okay, this is our feeder stock. This is where we store our feed. Like if you check this record book very well, check the record book very well, you can see we have this record book is very important for us. So it's what we use to record everything here. So you can always all see. This is where the poultry